Welcome back to Decked Out.
On today's episode, we are joined by Beezy and Mia of the Nitpicking Nerds for a very on-brand episode.
As always, thank you to our sponsors, Tales of Adventure, Moxfield, and Ultimate Guard, and today's featured sponsor, Anthros, but more on all of them later in the video.
That's enough from us for now. Let's go ahead, meet the players, and check out which commanders fit their theme.
Hey everyone, I'm Mia, one half of the Nitpicking Nerds. We make a lot of Commander content. Today, I'm going to be playing my favorite commander, Kali of the Vast. She was my dream commander when I first started playing, and I want to put a lot of angels, demons, and dragons onto the board as quickly as possible.
I'm Beezy, I'm 51% of the Nitpicking Nerds, and I'm playing Carador, Ghost Chieftain, but this isn't just any Carador deck. This is my favorite cards, period, no matter what. I am just playing some of my all-time favorites. Sometimes they're really good cards, like Emrakul of Promised End, and sometimes that means playing Bottle Gnomes or Reaper of the Wilds. Basically, it means that no matter what I do, I'm going to be extremely happy the entire time, because every card in this deck is super nostalgic and fun to me.
Everyone who knows me knows that I love Kirby a lot. So for my on-brand deck, I picked the most Kirby-like creature I could think of, Lazav Dimir Mastermind. What could possibly be more Kirby than taking your opponent's creature's abilities, using them against them, and not letting them touch you in response? We're going to be milling them and hopefully hitting big stuff off the top of their libraries and keeping their board under control with a normal Dimir control approach until then.
Hello everybody, I'm MTGNerdGirl, and today, thanks to Mia, I am playing Edgar Markov. I've always wanted to build this deck, but could never justify buying Edgar himself. So Mia is lending me her version, and I'm gonna get to make so many sweet, sweet vampires. We're going to gain a bunch of life, drain our opponents, and even get into the red zone. Please join us in welcoming our newest channel sponsor, Anthros.
Anthros is the only FDA registered chair, period, and it's guaranteed to relieve back pain, shoulder pain, neck strain. The only thing that it can't prevent is the pain from missing all your triggers.
I was initially drawn to Anthros after last year when I took a tumble down the stairs and spending months in a neck brace. I was in significant discomfort even a year later. And now with Anthros, I can spend much more time streaming and at my desk editing without all of that discomfort.
I don't know, I just like this little lower back thing. It makes me sit up straight when I'm playing Magic at the table.
That's actually a pelvic support veggie, unlike some of the other chair brands that have those useless lumbar support cushions that don't do anything. The pelvic support does correct your posture.
Oh, my favorite part is this little pelvic support thing that you can't see.
So make sure you guys use the link down below in the description to fix your sit today. And there's no better time to do it because you will get $200 off when you use our link.
It's a very charitable cause. We should probably play the game now.
Welcome to the table. Let's see who goes first.
6.
14?
13.
Ooh.
Okay.
Lucky to go first. I'm gonna play one of my favorites, although everything in my deck is my favorite. It's Stirring Wildwood. I can pay 3 mana to turn this dual land into a 3/4 with reach. I'll pass.
Well, it's going to seem like I'm going first. We're gonna start with spectator seating. It'll come into play untapped.
Don't Soul Ring us.
And we're gonna go ahead and start with the Valkenrath Gorger, a 2/1 vampire that says each vampire that is not on the battlefield has madness, and the madness is equal to its mana cost. But because of my commander in the command zone, I will also get an additional 1/1 vampire. And I'll pass.
Nomad Outpost coming in tapped and pass.
Your stuff having madness is really annoying for Lazav, I will say. Let's play an Underground River and pass.
Pretty decent little draw. I'll play Llanowar Wastes as my land, and I'm going to play a Sakura Tribe Elder. This is a 1/1 that I can sacrifice to go search for a basic land and put it into play tapped, and I will pass.
And we're just gonna go to combat, and Mia is gonna get 2, and Airball will get 1.
I'll take 2.
I'll take 1.
Pass.
Play a Swamp for turn, and I will tap 2 and play Talisman of Indulgence. I can either tap it for 1, or I can tap it to make black or red, and it'll deal 1 to me, and I'll pass.
I'll play a Tainted Isle and pass.
Okay, I think at the end step, I'm gonna crack this Steve. I'm gonna find a Plains, and then I'm gonna untap and draw. I'm gonna play my land for turn. This is Piranha Marsh, so when it enters the battlefield, target opponent loses 1 life. I don't have time to explain why this card's in my deck. Nerdgirl, you can lose 1 life.
I knew already.
I'm going to pay 1 for a Traverse the Uvenwald, which lets me search for a basic land and put it into my hand. If I had Delirium, I can get a creature, but I do not. I'm gonna get one of my favorite forests, and I'll put it into my hand. And I'm gonna take 1 damage from Llanowar Wastes, putting us all pretty even. I'm gonna play Satyr Wayfinder. This looks at the top 4 cards of my library, gets me a land from among those, and the rest go right where I want them into my graveyard. All right, I'm gonna put this snow-covered plains in my hand and 3 cards in the graveyard. So I'll pass.
I'm gonna start with a tapped Triome and just go to combat. Airball can have 2 this time, Mia can have 1.
I'll take 1.
And I'll pass.
Take it.
I'm going to play Vault of the Archangel as land for turn, and I'm going to tap this for a red, and it will hit me for 1, and I will tap the rest of my mana and bring out my commander, Kali of the Vast. She is a 2/2 flyer that says when she attacks, I could put an angel, demon, or dragon from my hand onto the battlefield, tapped and attacking the opponent I am attacking. Pass.
I'm so scared of Kalia.
Kalia is very scary.
I feel like I always kind of like hate out the Kalia player, so I'm sorry, but like, oh, she's scary.
It's scary.
Pretty justifiable.
I'm also scared of Kalia, so on end step, I think I'm going to Infernally Grasp it, destroy target creature, lose 2. I'm going to play this Shizo Death Storehouse. I can basically make one of my creatures have fear. And then we'll pay 3 for the Invasion of Amonkhet. It's a battle with 4 toughness counters on it. When it ETBs, each player mills 3, and then each opponent discards a card, and then I draw a card. And the backside will be a creature you can cast as a copy of something in a graveyard.
Okay, so we mill 3.
Castle Lochthwain, Relentless Assault, Smothering
Emrakul.
Tithe.
Hellish Norn.
No,
There's some bangers in there.
my Markwood Bats.
All right, and discard card, please.
Yes.
Anguished Unmaking.
Discard a Catacomb Sifter.
I'll do a Chaos Warp.
And for the record, Mia is going to be the one defending the invasion. And I'll pass the turn.
All right, I'm gonna play this forest that I found last turn. I'm gonna tap 5 mana for an Underrealm Lich. This is a 4/3. I can pay 4 life to give it indestructible until end of turn, which taps it also. But if I would draw a card, instead I look at the top 3, put 1 into my hand, and the rest go into my graveyard. I'm sorry, but I'm gonna be putting cards in my graveyard like all the time. So Airball is gonna have a good selection, but I will make up for it by attacking him for 1.
Sure.
Wow.
I mean, my eyes are on that Emrakul over there.
Yeah, so I think it's all just balanced. Then I'm gonna pass.
There's an Emrakul in your graveyard?
Emrakul and an Elder Storm.
You know,
All right,
a couple
well,
Bajuka Bogs around.
I don't want Airball to have any reindeer games, so I will indeed Bajuka Bog.
No, somehow I get punished for this. Goodbye, Emrakul and friends.
It comes into play tapped, and it's going to exile all cards from target player's graveyard. Beezy. Sorry.
Beezy's always the correct move.
It
Yeah.
is.
I was going to flip this and cast Emrakul, and you were all going to be sad.
It's true.
Nope. How are you going to flip it right now?
Well, I was going to eventually.
Eventually,
flip
I
it.
see, I see. But for now, you can take 2 and Mia can take 1. I will pass the turn.
Windbrisk Heights. I have Windbrisk Heights, which means it has Hideaway 4, and I can cast the card if I attack with 3 or more creatures and also pay a white into it. I'll pay 2, and I'll play Rakdos Signet, and I will pay 2 for Ornithopter of Paradise. And after that, I'm going to pass.
Okay. Yeah, there's no way I'm doing anything but casting my commander here. We're going to pay 4. And here is Lazav Dimir Mastermind. He's a 3/3 hexproof, and whenever a creature card's put into opponent's graveyard from anywhere, Lazav can become a copy of that creature, except it retains that ability, so if another creature goes in after that, I get to copy that one if I want. Very Kirby-esque. Pass.
Well, I'm about to be putting creatures in my graveyard, whether I like it or not, because I'm going to be looking at the top 3 instead of drawing a card.
Beezy, not a team player.
Totally not a team player at all. Lazav is really scary as the Carador player, but I can't just not play spells. Most of my cards say mill, and they're not optional, and I kind of have to fill the graveyard for Carador to even have any text. So I'm going to just keep milling, business as usual, and if Lazav gets to be something really, really crazy, there's nothing I can do about it. I'll have to answer Lazav if that happens. All right, I'll put 1 into my hand, and I will put Swamp and Filigree Familiar into my graveyard. Would you like a Filigree Familiar?
I don't know what that does.
If it dies, you draw a card.
No.
Okay, fair enough.
Lazav's not thinking of dying anytime soon?
No.
I'm gonna play a snow-covered plains, and I'm gonna go to combat, and I'm gonna send this right at Airball. We're going in for 4.
Yeah, I'll take 4.
I'm gonna tap 2, and I'm gonna give Airball more shots at his Lazav. I'm gonna play Undead Butler, which enters and mills me 3, and if it dies, I can exile it and get a creature back from my graveyard.
I feel at this point we should just be swinging at Beezy because he's just giving Airball too much value. What was this, 2-head giant?
Look, I milled.
I wanted to swing at Beezy, but Beezy always has
Look, it's fine. I just milled an Ulamog, the Ceaseless Hunger.
So Lazav is now a copy of Ulamog the Ceaseless Hunger. In other words, he's a 10/10 indestructible, and whenever he attacks an opponent, that opponent is going to exile the top 20 cards of their library.
Beezy,
It's Undead Butler.
play to try and win, not to try and get Airball to win, please.
I'm just casting my spells, ma'am. I'm going to tap 4, and I'm going to play a Garruk Wildspeaker. Garruk's a Planeswalker. So Garruk is a Planeswalker with 3 loyalty. I can +1 to untap 2 lands, -1 to put a 3/3 out, or -4 to give my creatures an overrun for +3/+3 trample until end of turn.
Thanks, Beezy.
It wasn't me. It's Lazav.
Okay, this can be a quick game.
I don't regret this because I have to play my spells, even if it doesn't benefit
Anybody? But
Look, this is
Airball.
hindsight bias at its finest. I'm just going to +4 and untap this Stirring Wildwood and this Piranha Marsh for fun. And then I will retap Stirring Wildwood, and I'm going to play a Spore Frog. I can pay 0 mana and sacrifice it to prevent all combat damage that will be dealt this turn. One of the secretly most annoying cards in my deck is probably Spore Frog, because with Carador, I can recast it every turn. So if you don't have a powerful non-combat way to take me out or a way to kill Spore Frog over and over, I could just prevent all the damage. So that could be something that happens later in the game.
That might be relevant.
It could very well be relevant. And I'm going to pass the turn.
I'll tap 3 for a Welcoming Vampire, a 2/3 flyer that says whenever 1 or more creatures with power 2 or less enter the battlefield under my control, I get to draw a card. It triggers only once each turn. I will get an additional vampire token. Unfortunately, it's going to come into play before the Welcoming Vampire off of the Edgar trigger. And Mia, you're the only person I could attack, but I'm not gonna because I want to be your friend.
thank you.
So, pass?
Okay. Like, I mean, this isn't coming back to bite you in the butt, so.
No, of course.
Like, I would like to do other things, but I don't think I have a choice. I'm gonna dig for an answer with Night's Whisper. I'm gonna draw 2 and miss 2. Well, if you can't beat him, join him, I guess. Reanimate? Reanimate says, put target creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under my control. I lose life equal to its CMC.
What's your target?
Ulamog? Losing 10 life is a lot of life, but Airball's Ulamog is really scary, and I figured maybe I should have one too.
Excuse me?
NerdGirl.
How are you the only one without an Ulamog?
Well, it's now a team with Ulamog and team without Ulamog. I mean, I have no.
No, I've already declared I'm on team this Ulamog.
Okay. Okay. Well,
This is your fault, Beezy.
I don't understand how I'm being blamed so much. Here's an Ulamog, by the way.
Thank you. I'm gonna take 10. I'll pay 2 into this, and I will play a Talisman of Conviction.
You've got all the 2 mana ramps.
After that, I am going to pass.
Well, we'll protect myself from getting edicted at least. We're going to play this Swamp as land for turn. We're going to pay 5 for a Mirelurk Queen. Is a 4/4 Vigilant Crab Mutant. When it enters the battlefield, target player gets 2 rad counters, and whenever 1 or more non-land cards are milled, I draw a card, and then I put a +1/+1 counter on this creature.
I'd like to
once per
respond to
turn.
that. If you don't
You
mind.
can respond.
Manatithe? Manatithe says, I counter target spell unless that player pays 1.
This game is supposed to be about me taking my opponent's abilities, not the other way around. I'm the one who counters things. I'm in blue. White doesn't get to do that.
Oh my god.
Beautiful. On this show, I think I've been countered by non-blue cards way more than I've been countered by blue cards.
Doesn't it feel just so much worse?
Non-blue
It
counter
really
spells is kind
does.
of one of my things.
I mean, this is our jank fun decks, and Manatithe is absolutely nonsense.
Pass the turn.
Okay, so I guess edicts are back on the menu. I don't have one, but that's cool to know. So I'm gonna do my super draw from this and look at 3 cards instead of 1. Under Realm Lich, he's a real one for this. So I'm gonna put these 2 in the graveyard, keep that single card. I'm going to -1 my Garruk to create a 3/3 beast token. And then I think I'm going to tap 5 mana and take 1 point of damage from Llanowar Wastes to play a very convenient Massacre Girl. Massacre Girl says she's a 4/4 with menace, and when she enters the battlefield, each other creature gets -1/-1 until end of turn. And then whenever a creature dies this turn, starts a chain, and then each other creature gets -1/-1 again. So the initial -1/-1 is going to kill 5 creatures, and then that will give another -5/-5, which will kill everything else, which will then be 10 -1/-1s to kill the Ulamogs.
Okay.
So everything else is just gone.
BZ just needs to get bogged again.
And my Ulamog's back in the graveyard. So I do have a trigger for Undead Butler. When it dies, I'm going to exile it, and then I can return a creature from my graveyard to my hand. I think I'd have to just get back the best card for my personal game plan, which is Satyr Wayfinder. So I'll get that back to my hand, and then my turn's over. And it was a good turn.
I'm going to pay 3 for a Painful Truths. I get to draw X cards and lose X life, where X is the number of colors I spent to cast this spell. So I'll lose 3. Draw 3 and hope to hit a land. Okay, 1, 2, and 3. And just barely, we did indeed hit it. We get a Dracula's Tomb,
Very on theme.
or a Phyrexian Tower. It can tap for a colorless, and I can also sacrifice a creature to add 2 black mana to my pool. That is it. I will pass turn.
I don't have a lot of life right now, so hopefully I can do something to mitigate that.
That was your doing, if I recall.
Airball have gotten a second Ulamog, and nobody wants that. I took the hit for the team.
Yeah, I would have gotten to cast a second Ulamog.
Yeah, nobody would have liked that, and some might say it was your fault to begin with.
No one sane would say that.
I'm gonna play Gisela, Blade of Gold Knight, just hard cast. 5/5 flying, first strike. Sources that will deal damage to an opponent or things they control deal double. Sources that would deal damage to me or things I control deal half. I'm going to pass.
I'm going to play an island and say go.
I'm gonna play Graveyard MVP, Satyr Wayfinder once again. So we're gonna put Into the Triumph in my hand, a couple creatures and a Doom Blast into the grave. And I'm gonna pay 3 mana, Abzan mana, for my commander, Carador, Ghost Chieftain. He's normally 8 mana, but he is reduced for each creature card in my graveyard by 1 mana. And during each of my turns, I can cast a creature from my graveyard. I'm gonna use my Garrick to +1 and untap 2 lands. And I will tap one of them for Diligent Farmhand. I love this guy. He's a 1/1, and I can pay 1 and a green and sacrifice him to search for a basic and put into play tapped. But also, if he's in my graveyard, he counts as a Muscle Burst. I know, I'm the threat. I understand. I think I'm going to... Mia, we're like friends-ish, right? Am I getting clocked by Gisela?
No.
Okay, I'm gonna hit Airball for a potential 8.
Yeah, okay. I will pay 4 to cast Sea Double, and I'm going to make a token copy of Gisela.
Cool.
So now, Mia's Gisela and Airball's Gisela sort of cancel each other out for you two, but me and NerdGirl take double damage.
Yeah.
Massacre Girl has Menace, so can't do anything about that, but I will only take 4 instead of 8.
Okay, NerdGirl, go ahead. More nonsense in play. And I want to point out, again, these two are the ones with the nonsense legendary creatures.
I will pay 3 for an Urza's Incubator. When it enters the battlefield, I choose a creature type, and those creatures cost 2 less to cast. And I'm gonna choose, maybe vampires. That sounds like a good choice. And we're gonna play a Bloodline Keeper, a 3/3 flying vampire. I can tap it to put a 2/2 vampire creature token with flying onto the battlefield. I can also pay 1 to transform it, activate only if I control 5 vampires. This will trigger my commander with Eminence, and I will get a little vampire friendo. And I'll say, please don't hurt me, pass.
I told you I wouldn't hit you with Gisela. I'm gonna move to combat. I'm sorry, nerd girl. I'll swing at you for 20.
Taking it. Go down to 15.
Gisela really is the MVP of this game. It's helping me not take as much damage as I usually would have, and it's dealing a lot of damage to my opponents too. I mean, nerd girl just took 20. Whew.
That's filthy.
I'm gonna pass.
And I'm gonna do the only thing that I think makes sense, and Gisela's gonna swing at the Invasion of Amonkhet.
I'm gonna respond. I'm gonna play on Unexplained Absence. For each player, I exile up to 1 target non-land permanent that player controls. For each permanent exiled this way, its controller cloaks the top card of their library. I think I'm going to pick Token Gisela, Garruk. I think it would be Urza's Incubator, and then probably nothing on my side.
Any responses from an Airball, perhaps?
No, I'm oddly okay with this.
No!
Yeah, I got all my Garrick down. And then I will cloak my top card as a 2/2 with Ward 2.
All right, well, main phase 2, we'll pay 6 to bring back Lizov.
Oh, not this time. I'm gonna respond and take a green. I'm not giving you access to my Diligent Farmhand, so I'm gonna sacrifice it in response to search for a basic.
That'll show me.
I knew you were up to something. I knew you wanted it. I'm gonna get a waste just because it's fun. You're good, right?
Yeah.
Airball, can I ask a favor? I think you actually might be down for this. I really want to cast this Satyr Wayfinder. So if I attack you, will you just eat it? Seems good for you.
Well, it seems neutral for me.
Well, it puts cards in my graveyard.
Yeah?
If I
no,
cast it again.
recasting it, absolutely, yeah.
That's what I'm thinking.
You said there's still another Eldrazi in there, so
Is that cool with you?
yeah, go for it.
Okay. I feel like I want to attack with Massacre Girl, and Mia's at the next highest, so just 2. I'll just tickle Mia for 2. I'll also send what would be 2 at Airball.
I'll take 2.
Lazov's gonna eat the Wayfinder.
Okay, it will die.
I will decline to copy the Wayfinder.
Fair enough. I will use this Waste and Forest to cast Satyr Wayfinder and do this trigger a 3rd time. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I did find a forest, which is cool for me. Also put Karamitra and Marin of Clan Nel Toth in the graveyard if you want a shot at those.
All right, Lazov will be French Karametra.
And I will also tap 4, let's do it like this, for a Poison Tip Archer. This is a 2/3 Reach Death Toucher, and it says whenever another creature dies, so anybody's creatures, each opponent loses 1 life. So don't wipe the board, I guess. I will pass.
We're gonna play Mount Doom. Taps for a black or a red. I have to pay life, or I can use it to deal 1 damage to each opponent, or I can pay 7 and sacrifice it in a legendary artifact to choose up to 2 creatures and destroy the rest. Activate only as a sorcery. I'm gonna start with Veto Thorn of the Dusk Rose. He's a 1/3 that says whenever I gain life, target opponent loses that much life, and I can also give my creatures lifelink. I will get an additional vampire from my commander. I'll pay 3 more, lose another life, and play something that will hopefully save me. We're gonna play Captivating Vampire.
Yeah.
A 2/2 that says other vampire creatures I control get +1/+1. I also can tap 5 untapped vampires I control and gain control of target creature. It becomes a vampire in addition to its other types. I'll get another vampire from my commander. Yeah, I don't want anything to stop me from doing this, and your deck seems scary.
Tricky.
Trixies. So I'm gonna just tap 5 and attempt to yoink the Gisela.
Okay.
Yoink. And then I will stay home and pass the turn.
I'm gonna play Angelic Arbiter, 5/6 with flying. Each opponent who casts a spell this turn can't attack, and if you attack, you can't cast spells.
That is like 2012 Magic just came out and was like, here I am.
Sending it.
On your end step, I'm going to crack this Polluted Delta. I'll take 1. And I'll put this island into play off of the fetch. And I'm going to Hongify Angelic Arbiter.
Interesting.
Okay.
Destroy target creature, can't be regenerated. Controller makes a 3/3 green 8.
Okay.
So when the Arbiter dies, I'm going to exercise the Lazov trigger to make it a copy.
That also triggers Poison Tip Archer because another creature died, so each of my opponents will lose 1 life.
All right. Tap, go to my turn. We're gonna start by paying 1 blue for a Hedron Crab. It's an 0/2 when a land enters the battlefield. Target player puts the top 3 cards of their library into their graveyard. And I'm gonna play this Swamp, and we'll trigger landfall for the Hedron Crab. I'm going to target Beezy. Would you please mill 3?
Okay, I hope they're crappy. They were semi-crappy.
Okay. Okay, and let's go ahead and go to combat. Yeah, let's send the Arbiter at the Invasion of Amonkhet.
No blocks.
I think it's finally happening.
All right, we get to finally cast the backside of Invasion. Lazotep Convert is here. I can have it ETB as a copy of any creature card in a graveyard, except it's a 4/4 black zombie in addition to its other types. Yeah, I think it's flavorful to take the Ulamog.
Can you just explain that flavor for me?
It's the 3rd Ulamog that's entered the battlefield, and none of them have been yours.
Okay.
We'll go ahead and pass the turn.
Because I'm going to spend 10 mana, and I'm going to cast Ulamog the Ceaseless Hunger from my graveyard. There is a cast trigger to exile 2 target permanents. So I think I have to target Captivating Vampire, and I think I'll go after the other Ulamog. There can be only 4 Ulamogs.
All right.
And none of them can be yours, Airball.
Drat. Beezy stopped me from also getting an Ulamog. I wanted to play in all the Eldrazi reindeer games.
I'd love to attack. I probably have great attacks, but I can't because of the Arbiter, so I'm going to pass.
Yeah, you have no attacks at all.
I can't.
Take that.
On your end step, I will tap my Bloodline Keeper to make this little 2/2 flyer. We're gonna start by transforming the Bloodline Keeper Vampire, which means he's gonna turn into a 5/5 flyer that gives my other vampires +2/+2. He can still tap and make 2/2 flying vampires. Oh, all my opponents take double damage.
That's what I meant, like
With
lifeless.
veto is so scary. All right, we're gonna just go to combat. I can do this at instant speed. The two of you are my problems. I'm gonna send my 3 flyers to Beezy and my 3/1/1, now 3/3 vampires over to Airball.
One of these in front of 2 of the vampires.
Okay, so then I get to allocate this one reach creature. I'm just go for the most damage blocked, so I will block Gisela.
Cool, I will indeed pay to give everything lifelink. I will lose a life, so all of my vampires will be lifelinking.
Now would be a great time for a trick from anybody, but I'm not gonna have one. So Gisela has first strike, so she's gonna destroy this guy, absolutely annihilate him. You're gonna gain 14, and then you get to do 14 with veto.
Yeah, so I'll gain 14, and we're gonna have the 14 go to you, Beezy.
Thanks.
And then I will go to regular combat.
Okay.
Airball's gonna take 6.
I will take 18.
Yes, that is a lot. I will finally also gain an additional 12 from the 2 blocked vampires. Now I get some damage to distribute. The Gisela was already done. The first strike was already applied. So now I get to veto people in the face for this amount of damage. So 1 vampire token dealt 6 damage. That'll be enough to kill Beezy. And then the Liege and 1 more vampire will be a total of 16, which is enough to kill Airball. And then we've got the additional 8 damage and the token. Oh boy, 14 for Mia.
Nothing in hand, Airball? Like a dying present for Nerd Girl?
You want to know what I have in hand?
I would love to know.
I've got a Rise of the Dark Realms.
Oh.
That I'm 1 turn away from casting.
Oh, damn.
I should have attacked with a veto for like Exaxes. My bad. Mia, draw a board clear and punish me.
Can't do that.
Good game.
Oh, well, Karamitra is unreadable because it's in French.
Thanks,
That doesn't
Beezy.
That doesn't make it unreadable.
Hey,
That's fair.
Are you French Canadian or?
Well, no, but I'm Canadian.
He is fluent in French.
Nice.
À chaque fois que vous lancez une sorte de créature, vous pouvez chercher dans votre bibliothèque une carte de forêt ou de plaine, le mettre sur le champ de bataille, engager et mélanger ensuite votre bibliothèque.
I really set him up for that flex. I was like, it's in French. Nobody can read it.
Who knows French? Overall, this game was an absolute blast to play, and it just kind of snowballed in everyone's direction. Having multiple Ulamogs was a crazy battle to watch.
We'd like to welcome our newest channel sponsor, Anthros. Our team spends so much time around the commander table and at the editing desk that the quality of the chair we sit in is incredibly important.
And we feel so supported by Anthros. Literally. So make sure to use the link down in the description to support us and them, because as they say, chair today, gone tomorrow.
And there's no better time to do it because that link will give you $200 off your order, and it'll give you the perfect time and the perfect excuse to fix your sit today. Sov is always hexproof.
Yes. Annoying,
This
right?
was always going to happen in some way. It just happened to be, you know.
Why? That is
the-
so unnecessary.
This game was great. I can never not have an amazing time playing this deck. I love seeing all my random fun cards, my foils that I've accumulated. So maybe I did misplay a little bit, but that's what Commander's all about. I'm not worried about it.
Don't forget to support your favorite Commander show by doing something you were going to do anyway, and that's buy Magic singles. And you can do so by using our sponsor, TOA.
It really is that easy, and Tales of Adventure has a wide selection of singles from the most basic printings all the way through the most premium versions. And they've also started stocking sealed product now, so you don't need to go anywhere else for anything Magic.
And you get 5% off your entire order when you use code DECKEDOUT at checkout.
And you should know by now, the link is down in the description, right there.
Play Mana Tithe in a commander deck.
Someone who's playing Jank, obviously. You said the power levels were low, right?
Turns out Gisela turning into a vampire with veto on board is nuts. I got to double my damage doubler while also gaining all of that life.
If you're building decks and you're not using Moxfield, then I feel bad for you. It just is the best tool for organizing, customizing, and collaborating on all of your decks.
In fact, it's the only way that our team can keep up with building sometimes over 20 decks per month. And it's the way that we can share our deck lists with you in a nice, easy format.
You can always support the show too, just by following us on Moxfield, where you can find every deck that's ever been on the show.
Destructible blocker is annoying. Yeah,
You're annoying.
true.
Zing.
Got him.
Don't hate the player. Is that relevant here?
I don't know.
Oh, I'd have to Airball's play more interaction. Yeah, mana type.
Ultimate Guard is the industry leader in TCG accessories.
And Ultimate Guard products are the way that all three of us on the Decked Out team are able to organize, protect, and display our collections. And they're the best way to show off all of our cards on camera for you.
So make sure you use the link down below in the description to support the show and pick yourself up some amazing upgrades. We'd like to take a minute to thank our patrons. Without your support, Decked Out would not be able to stay weekly.
And you know how this works. It's thanks to patrons specifically like you, Richard, that we're able to keep this show weekly, and that is fantastic.
And if you're not already part of the show, you can check out the Patreon to unlock exclusive perks, sign tokens every month, spell table games with us, even get your deck featured here on the show.
And of course, Mr. Garfield, you can always support the channel by liking the video and subscribing. That's all we've got for you for today. We'll see you next time on Decked Out.
I thought for sure you were gonna say dick.